over to you, Chairman. Okay.
All right, thank you. Right, good morning, everybody. Hang on, I'm just going back to page 1. Right, my name's Adrian Hutton, and I'm a councillor, and I've been elected or appointed as chair of this panel today. Can I ask the other councillors to introduce themselves, please?
My name's Councillor Neil Brooks from Horside Ward.
My name's Councillor Julie Sloman from Norbrett Ward.
The officers present, please.
PC Guy Harrison from. Oh, sorry.
I'm Sharon Davis from Legal Services.
And I'm Lennox Beattie here to take the notes of the hearing. And then you're just going to introduce the applicant and objector, ask them.
Yeah, the applicant, please, just for formality's sake.
It's Nicholas Pritchard.
Right. And PC
Guy Harrison from Blackpool Police Licensing.
Right, thank you for that. Agenda item 2 is declarations of interest. Can I ask the councillors present if they have any declarations of interest?
No declarations.
No declarations, Chair.
Right, thank you very much for that. Procedure for the meeting is that we've agreed that each party will get 10 minutes to present their case. It's a fairly straightforward one. If needed, you can have 5 minutes for summing up, but you don't need to take that. And if you do, you don't need to take the 5 minutes. Okay. As I say, the applicant will go first. PC Pritchard can ask questions of the applicant, as can members of the committee. Then PC Harrison will go present his case. The applicant can ask questions, as can members of the committee. Once we've dealt with all of that, we'll ask you to leave and we will make our decision and you will be notified within 5 working days. Okay, is that everybody happy with that? Right, yeah. In that case, it's over to you, Mr. Pritchard, to present your case as to why you want this temporary event notice.
Okay. So basically, obviously, I run a very, very strict venue, and previously had 2 of these New Year's Eve parties with no problems whatsoever. I'm a predominantly family bar all the time. I'm not a normal bar, so we allow families in all the time. We've never had an issue, never had a problem. You can ask the police licensing officer if we've ever had a problem or any calls to our venue for anything whatsoever. We have no issue. We only have families in on the night of New Year's Eve. It'll be a ticketed event, so there's only families allowed in. We don't allow single people in. We have security on, so obviously it'll be an enclosed venue, so people's not walking in and out. So it's not like a normal pub. We are very responsible. We're not just a normal bar. We're a very responsible bar. We're not letting people get drunk and rolling about. We're a very safe venue. So we don't understand the reason or why we've been turned down for this tent due to the fact of how we operate. I mean, we'd be happy. The only reason we put in for a 1 o'clock license is due to the fact we don't want to chuck everybody out after the event. So say 12 o'clock when we finish, if we say, right, you all got to leave now, obviously there's people on the front of our forecourt waiting for taxis. Now, if you said to us, you can go till 12 o'clock or 12:15, that's fine. It's just so people can see in the new year and enjoy themselves on that day. I mean, obviously, people with families still, you have to have a little bit of enjoyment. Just because you've got children doesn't mean you can't go out. I understand the child protection officer saying, people shouldn't be out at that time, but people have booked hotels to come to our venue to have a nice time, to enjoy themselves. I mean, obviously, we're not doing anything wrong. There's other venues in the town what's doing New Year's Eve parties, such like ourselves, and there's plenty of hotels who do it, and we just don't understand the reason why we've been turned down for this time. On 2 previous occasions we've had it, and this time they've turned us down. If I spoke with Nat Cox, who's a licensed officer as well, and I said, I rung Nat, and I said, I speak to Nat quite often, and I said, I just wish you'd have rung me and asked me, you know, or told me what had happened and what we could have done. I said, have you ever had a problem before? And he said, no. He said, none whatsoever. He said, and it's not us who's done it. He said, but we have to operate because obviously, I think it's called Louise Scales who cannot put a point forward, and that's the reason why the police have had to step in. He said, no, I've got no problem with you whatsoever. He said, but we've got to do our job. I understand you've got to do your job, but if there was something what we was doing what was wrong, I'd hold my hands up and say, well, I can see why, but I can't understand the reason. It's, you know, people are coming to enjoy themselves. We actually, with the council, did say we could have it because obviously we'd put in a tent, and then they said if you don't receive anything within 2 weeks, it go. So then we wait for 2 weeks, and then we release the tickets, and then we'd sold some tickets, and then we've had to refund our tickets because obviously people have booked hotels, and if you wasn't going to let it go, I didn't want to see people booking an hotel to come to Blackpool and then not being able to get the money back. So we've suspended ticket sales, and we've offered refunds for anybody who has bought tickets who's booked an hotel. But, you know, people are coming to Blackpool to book an hotel, to our venue, and have a nice time. So I really don't see the point of what's happened. I understand it. I understand, obviously, it's child protection and people being out at past 12 o'clock with a child, but it's one night a year. We're a family bar 7 days a week. It's one night where we're very, very stringent of everything. Security, we don't let people, you know, we're not there to get people drunk, rolling about in our venue. It's a very, very safe venue. If you come to our venue and have a look, I will say I'm the safest venue in Blackpool, and we operate very, very well. And you know, I feel like I've been, you know, it's not good what's happened. I'm only offering a service for people with families to enjoy themselves for one night in a year. And like they say, if they would have come back and said, look, Nick, you can't have till 1 o'clock. I think it's ridiculous. Children being out till 1 o'clock. You can have till 12:15, and then that's you. That's fine. It's just the only reason we ask for 1 o'clock is for the people there's people who's got hotels, who's staying around the area in hotels, who's booked hotels. They'll be walking back to the hotels. There's people who's locals who'll be going back to their houses, but there's people who'll obviously be getting taxis, and we don't want to throw people onto the front and say, look, you have to leave our venue at X time and you have to wait outside. So if it was 12 o'clock, taxis on New Year's Eve are going to be 20 minutes, and we don't want to let people wait on the front. And that was the reason why we asked for 1 o'clock, not for drinking. If Blackpool Council said to me, well, that's fine, but it's 15:15 or 12 o'clock, you have to stop serving, that's fine. But it's just a blatant no, and that was the issue. So I think, yeah. So basically, I've said what, you know, there's not a lot more I can say.
Okay. I should make it quite clear that this hasn't actually been turned down yet, right?
Okay, that's fine.
There's an objection.
I will say that, but Nat Cox actually did say, well, it hasn't been turned down. He said, you know, I'll put, obviously.
There's the objection, and that's why we're here today.
Yeah.
Right. PC Harrison, do you have any questions to Mr. Pritchard?
No questions at this point. Obviously, I'll be making my submission there in due course.
Right. Okay. Councillor Brooks, do you have any questions to Mr. Pritchard?
Yeah, a few, please, Nick. I mean, talk about it as a family bar. I'm not familiar with the bar. Is it like a social club? Is it?
It was the old Philharmonic Club in Blackpool. Okay. So we didn't want to go down. Obviously, I didn't want to go down the route of a pub due to the fact that everything in Blackpool, I've been on the piers for a long time. I had stuff on Central Piers for a long time. And then I know Blackpool was trying to clean up, the council was trying to clean up Blackpool and get rid of the stag and ends and all the rest of it and make it a family venue. So I just thought, well, it's the ideal opportunity. And I opened a family bar, which has been very successful. And we've got, massive following, and people come back for the 3 years what we've owned it during the toughest years in history of COVID and everything else. And not a lot of people's heard of it due to the fact I don't have a lot of trouble, to be truthful. I mean, you can ask the licensing officers. I don't have any trouble. I'm not a troubled venue. We're a safe venue. And that's why lots of people have not heard of me from licensing and policing. Because when the police come to me one time. We had some football people. We don't get football fans, but we had some football fans, and they put up and said, "Are you all right?" They said, "We didn't even know you was here." So, I mean, that's what kind of a venue we lead. It's a very safe venue, and we try and be the best we can.
I think that leads me on to my other question. You say it's a family bar. How do you enforce that?
Well, we've got signage everywhere. Obviously, we're a bar. So if you yourself personally come in, we've got a snug bar, which is separate. It's in our venue, but it's a separate entrance and a separate exit where we allow the likes of yourself in. But I mean, but the other bar is predominantly just all families. Obviously, that bar won't be open New Year's Eve because it is a ticketed event. But we're a predominantly family bar. So if you come in with a gang of lads, you wouldn't come in because you look in and it's like, oh, it's not for me, and they walk out. So it's a predominantly family bar. We have children in, and it's games on the stage, and it's not the type of bar what groups come in. So, and obviously New Year's Eve we won't allow groups in because it's ticketed. And
on your ticketed event, then what's the planned hours for selling alcohol? And
so our planned hours. See, we was gonna sell alcohol to about 12:15, and then obviously we give the remainder of the time for people to find a way out, obviously to get a taxi or to get back to the hotels, etc. So that's so it was from obviously when we open, we sell alcohol till about 12:15. Our ideal time was, but I mean, obviously we're allowed to sell alcohol till 11 o'clock. Well, we're allowed to sell alcohol till 2 o'clock, but children out of the venue by 11 o'clock. So it was just for us. We would sell alcohol till probably the 12 o'clock mark, obviously to celebrate the new year, and then after that time, obviously we'd stop selling. Gear everybody up. In previous parties, what we've had, the other two, by 20 past half past, we're empty, totally empty. So the venue's empty, and that's with us having a 1 o'clock tens on them other two. So the venue's empty because we're families. So the people, they see the new year in, they do their little singing or whatever they're doing, and then they get up and go.
Okay, thanks very much.
No problem.
Okay. Councillor Sloman, do you have any questions?
I do. Hi, Nick. Just tell me what the capacity of your venue is and how many tickets you're proposing to sell.
Our venue's 400. We're looking to, we'll probably sell about, obviously it's a bit of a downturn in this year, so I reckon we'll probably sell about 150 around that. It's a very big venue, our venue, though. It's very, very big inside. So I mean, when you say that kind of figures, it's massive.
Right. So you say 150? You mean 150 individual tickets or 150?
Yes, 150 individual tickets. But when you say 150 tickets, there could be mum and dad and 2 children. So that's 4 tickets.
Right. Okay.
150 altogether. So there'll be 150 tickets so there'll be 150 people.
Right. But would there be anything to prevent, say, a group of 10 men buying single tickets?
We don't sell single tickets. We don't sell single tickets, and we only sell to families.
Right.
So you,
Okay.
you can't come in unless you're with a family. You can't come in. So we only we do family tickets.
Okay. Obviously Blackpool very busy anyway. Certainly New Year's Eve. It does say in the terms of your license that you would have a minimum of 2 door supervisors. Can you tell me if you've got any plans to increase that amount?
Yeah, we go on. Yeah, so we go on. Obviously, the amount of door staff is dependent of how many people's in the venue, how we run it. But look, if you stipulate I've got to have 3 door staff, I'd have 3. Like I say, I work with licensing a lot, Nat Cox and the others. If they ask me to do it, I do it. I'm not one of these people who try to stretch whatever I can. I work with licensing, I work with Blackpool Council, I try and do the best.
Yeah, that's fine. I think the onus would be on you to risk assess however many.
Yeah.
In terms of your license, just state that you need to have a minimum of 2.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're a venue that's open during the day. What time are you proposing this party to start?
It's about 7:30.
7:30.
7:30 to come into the venue. The entertainment starts at 8 till about. Well, our entertainment, which we did, but was going on till 20 past 12.
Okay. And do you have any plans to empty the venue prior to that party starting?
So obviously we empty the venue up to the tickets starting. So what happens, whoever's in the venue, we tell them you've got, with half an hour, 20 minutes, an hour drinking up time. Then we empty the venue. We make the venue how we set the venue out for our party. And then obviously we let the party people come in and we seat them.
So it's a seated event.
Yeah, it's seated. Everything's seated. So we seat everybody. There's nobody.
In terms, and this might sound a ridiculous question. Can you just tell me how many sort of sets of toilets there are at the venue? In our venue, there's a disabled toilet. There's 5, 6, 7, 8 ladies' toilets. There's 4 cubicles and 4 lots of urinals, as in long urinals, not just. Oh, it's all right, Nick. I didn't need that level of detail. What I'm just trying to establish. No, we're geared up for people. Obviously, it was the old Philharmonic Club, so it's been a massive venue. So obviously, it's got everything. I get that. What I'm probing for here is to find out the access to the toilets. Is that in clear sight? You don't have to go round a corner. No. Everything. It's a big square building. So there's. As for if I understand what you're trying to get at, if children getting lost or something, there is one way in, one way out. So obviously the doorman's on the front doors. So there's a set of glass doors. You come in through the front doors where the doormen stand. On the inside, because obviously it's a ticketed event, so there's no point just on the outside because the doors we have the doors closed, even though obviously they're unlocked, so for fire. And then you come in for another set of glass doors, and then you're into our venue. So once you're in the venue, it's a big square venue with the toilets to one side, a stage at the bottom, the bar near the top. So everything is, you can stand in one bit of our venue and see everybody. If you understand what I mean. Okay, yeah. Do you have CCTV inside the premises? Yeah, we've got 36 cameras on one floor, yeah. Right, okay. And are any of those trained towards the toilet doors? I don't mean the individual doors. I understand what you mean. No, every bit of the building is on CCTV. There is no blind spots. That's why we put 36 cameras. Due to the fact, obviously, we have children in all the time. We've done it purposely for anything, untoward what was happening. So, yeah. Okay, thank you. No problem.
Are there any further questions? Just one question I've got, Nick.
No problem.
Is you've had 2 of these temporary event notices previously. What years were those?
What was it year, Charlotte?
Yeah, I can assist you. That was 2019 and 2021.
That's Bill.
I've looked on the system and I can confirm that obviously in 2020 the premises would have been closed probably due to COVID.
It was.
Yeah.
and the temporary event notice applications were in exactly the same terms as you're looking at today, and there were no objections from the police to either of them.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that. Right. If there's no further questions, then it's down to PC Harrison, sorry, to explain the reasons for the objections.
Yes, good morning, Councillor. Yes, PC Guy Harrison, and I'm here today. Sergeant Nat Cox actually put the submission in, but I'm representing him today because he's not available. Essentially, and I go with what Mr. Pritchard said. We do interact with him. We always find him very amenable. I have a good working relationship with him. All those are things that I'm not going to say otherwise to, because I've spoken to him, met him on several occasions, and there's no issues in respect to that. And I'm always aware of the fact that under the conditions that he has for the premises, that the conditions themselves very much recognise the need to safeguard children and young people. The reason the objection, or the thinking behind the objection, is the fact that the very nature of the event removes those safeguards that are always there from day to day in the operation of the premises. The fact that they deem that I think is under 16-year-olds have to go by, I think, 9 o'clock, and under 18s by 2300 hours on any other evening, precisely the things that are removed, and those are those which have come to the attention of Louise Scales from Child Protection, and also Sergeant Cox, is the fact that that particular night of the year is such a busy one, that drinking, consumption of alcohol is such a huge part of New Year's Eve, that with a larger number of children, it's quite a unique venue, really, in being such a large family bar, and that on this occasion there would be the fact that so many children would thus be there in that venue when so much drinking would be going on past the sort of normal hours that children would be normally residing on or within licensed premises. We are concerned about how they'd be safeguarded, whether they become vulnerable just because of the level of drunkenness, whether the fact that parents were out with them, would they really be able to keep an eye on them and protect them from the other harms, strangers that may be in the premises. Also, as well, I note Sergeant Cox has put exposure to unacceptable behaviour, potentially drug use. Now, these are all things, we're not talking just specifically about these premises, but these are all things that we have to be aware of, do and can go on in licensed premises, and why we have and support such strong strictures on children and young people being in such premises beyond certain times of the evening when they might normally be, say, having a family meal, etc. And why generally, in terms of most of the premises that we deal with, we like children to be gone by those times. Louise Scales has put in a submission, again, the fact that these safeguards are normally in place is those that give us confidence normally when this premises is being run, that young people will be protected from these such harms. Is precisely these being removed that give us concerns what might happen in the venue on the New Year's celebrations, and that essentially forms the basis of why we are concerned and why we wanted to put this objection in.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Pritchard, do you have any questions to anything that PC Harrison said?
There's a lot of stuff on there where obviously it has to be said, but we're a family venue every day, every single day, and we have been since day one of opening. Now, people drink, and obviously some people drink to excess. Now, it's up to us as a family venue. We control the amount of drinking, what goes on in them venues. So we don't allow it. We don't allow people to get, if somebody's got family with them, we're not going to let them get, obviously they're there to have a drink. We sell alcohol. We're not, but we don't let people start falling about in our venue. We're not one of them type of venues. I'm not calling over stating over venues in the town, but if you come in our venue, we're not one of them what lets people get drunk for and about. It doesn't look good enough. If we had families in there and somebody's drunk,
Mr. Pritchard, this is your opportunity to ask questions of the officer. I think
Okay.
officer, what Mr. Pritchard is saying is, do you have any evidence of drunkenness or inappropriate behaviour taking place in this premises?
no, I'm gonna
I
say
know that. I think that's a question for Mr.
Yeah.
the officer to answer.
yeah. No. Obviously, then I've got no questions. Then obviously, if no.
Well, perhaps PC Harrison might like to answer that question about whether you have any concerns about drunkenness or inappropriate behaviour at this premises.
No, I've looked through previous logs for this premises, and I think this year one quite minor assault was reported there. So that can happen, obviously, at any venue. Of no specific or particular concerns regarding that.
And have there been any issues at the two previous events of a similar nature that took place in 2019 and 2021?
Sharon,
Not
I've got
aware
that
of.
question written down.
Sorry, I was assisting Mr. Pritchard.
Okay, can you answer that question, PC Harrison? Have we had any problems on the two previous nights that this 10 has been granted?
No, not that I'm aware of. No.
Right. Okay. Have you got any further questions? Bearing in mind, Mr. Pritchard, that you'll get 5 minutes to sum up if you want to. All right.
Okay.
Are there any Councillor Sloman, do you have any questions to the police officer? You're on mute. Me lip reading's not that good.
No, I don't think so. I think no. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Brooks?
Yeah, just a couple. You mentioned in your submission, PC Harrison, that incidents of drug taking. Are there any incidents of drugs on the venue site at all? On any occasion?
No, there's not. I think in the submission put forward by Sergeant Cox, it was just a general recognition of the type of issues that and problems that you can have in licensed premises, which are a particular reason why we like to limit the access of children to such premises beyond the sort of normal waking hours that children would be expected to be, I don't know, out dining with parents, etc.
And a follow-up to that, then, I mean, in his initial submission, Mr. Pritchard said that families are booking hotels to come to this venue, to the event. Just wanted to confirm my understanding of residential licensing laws. If a family had booked a hotel nearby and they didn't go to this event, it's legitimate for the family to stay in the hotel bar till 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning without any such extension of license.
That would be dependent upon the particular license that premises has. But yes, that could be a situation depending on what the individual conditions are of those licensees.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
My only question's already been asked. So are there any further questions from anybody? If not, we then come to summing up. PC Harrison, you go first on this. Is there anything that you want to come back on?
No, I think everything is outlined in the submission, and I think I've gone through the reasoning behind it. Unless there's any more questions for me.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, Mr. Pritchard, it's your opportunity just to recap on anything you want to say, bearing in mind that you don't have to repeat yourself. Okay.
Well, basically,
Sorry if I said that, but we have had people in the past that try to go through everything again.
Yeah, it'd be basically repeating myself. I'd just oversay is that we don't allow any kind of drug taking, and like the gentleman said, he made a very good point where if they're not in our venue, they'd be in another venue, as in an hotel, doing the same thing where they've not got the security, where we have got the security on and we've got everybody else in place to look after the people. Some of these little guest houses in Blackpool will not have security on and drinking and have not got the same kind of policing as what we have. So there's no point. Obviously, if I carry on, I'll only go over what I've just said. So I'm just hoping I put my point across, and I hope everyone sees my point of view.
Okay, then. Right. Well, thank you very much for all of that. It now comes down to the committee members to discuss it and come to a decision. So can I thank you, PC Harrison, for your attendance, and Mr. Pritchard for yours. And we'll ask you to leave the meeting, and you'll be notified within 5 working days.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Are we okay, Lennox?
You're on mute, Lennox.
Yeah, I was just double checking the broadcast had finished, you see. So yeah, so we're absolutely fine.